Hey everyone, and welcome to Rewind and React, the show where we hit rewind on the most iconic and unforgettable music videos of all time and then give our reactions to every frame. I'm Adam Eltarhuni.
That's right, and I'm Rob Fine. Each episode, we will take a look back at some of the most influential artists and their music videos. Everything from the visuals, the hidden meanings, the wild behind the scenes stories, and the collaborative efforts that brought these videos to life.
Whether it's a surreal masterpiece from the 90s or a viral hit from today, we got you covered. So, we're going to dive deep into these videos' themes, the directors who shaped the video, and of course, those interesting style choices that either left us inspired or confused.
Yeah, a lot of those. Let's not forget the hidden gems, those blink and you'll miss it moments, the cameos, and some of the symbolism that makes these videos more than just music videos.
Yes. So sit back and relax and get ready to rewind and react with us as we take you on a journey through the world of music videos, one epic video at a time.
All right, let's press play on today's video spotlight, which is not the biggest British band in British history, but perhaps the second biggest.
Yes, today we're going to talk about Oasis, Rob, and the reason we decided to go with this topic is because as of this recording, they have announced Liam and Noel Gallagher, the two forces behind Oasis, that they're going to go back together. They're getting back together. They're doing another tour. So Oasis is back, and I think the world seems excited. So we figured this might be a good topic by the time this episode comes out. They may not be together. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, Rob. So first of all, a little more background. Rob, we were having a discussion recently talking about this band getting back together, and you were very surprised to learn that they were such a big band.
Well, I knew they were a big band. I did not realize how big because this band has sold more albums than Blink 182, than Green Day, than Smashing Pumpkins. All these like giant bands from both their era and the modern era just blew my mind that Oasis had such a hold on the entire world.
Yeah. Well, the '90s were a weird time, so I could see that too. So with this episode, we're going to actually go into what's the story Morning Glory, which is Oasis' second album that they released. And we're going to take a look at the music videos, the official music videos they released for this album. Now, a couple of things about Oasis, just for our listeners who've never heard of this band. They were formed in the '90s. Their history is a little interesting. I'm not going to dive too much into that because I think you can research that. But it really started with Liam, the younger of the brothers, joining a band, Noel listening to this band perform, which they named Oasis at the time, and Noel joining the band. And the way the story goes about is Liam asked him to join. They needed someone new to join the band, and Noel said, I could do that as long as you make me the sole songwriter and manage the whole band and what we do. So it hit off with a lot of control. But what this led to, besides a lot of fights down the line, is actually a intense focus because Noel said, I wanted us to be super successful. I want us to be the top band. I want us to become this big entity. So it really led to a kind of a lot of that, like working hard, doing a lot of shows, practicing, really perfecting their sound. And I mean, they achieved their goal, right? Like they became one of the biggest bands in the '90s and in the world at the cost of, which, you can read about later down the line, lots of fights, Liam showing up drunk to set, throwing things, hitting people, getting in fights, getting arrested by cops before recordings, before shows, all this kind of mayhem that transcribes throughout the decade and later decades.
That's a very interesting origin story, and it seems just perfect for this band and all the infighting that they had.
Yeah, you had the creative older brother, you had the little brother that was the singer, and they had their issues, but yeah, there's definitely a lot of family dynamic that the rest of the band had to deal with.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Let's kick it off. So the videos we're going to be talking about in this, I'll just give you a quick overview, and then we're going to go through them. Is Wonderwall, Don't Look Back in Anger, Champagne Supernova, Morning Glory, Roll With It, and Some Might Say. Let's just start with Wonderwall. And Wonderwall is mostly a black and white video. There are a few color elements. And to me, it seems very thrown together. It's really just Liam singing, the band's there, they have different instruments. There's a few color elements, which I thought was interesting, where there's a blue hat, there's a yellow guitar, things like that. But to me, it kind of felt thrown together. So I don't know, Rob, if you had any additional thoughts. I can't speak too much to this one because I do feel like it was just a hodgepodge of things that they just added in black and white, and then they made a video out of it.
Yeah, it. I had much of the same impression. It was kind of a signature of the '90s, the early '90s at least. Hey, this looks cool. Let's take a few artistic videos of this, of that, throw them all together. And I think you see that a lot with Oasis, actually. Something that I picked up as not just in Wonderwall, but in all of the videos, is their videos were generally felt more dated to the early '90s than the later '90s when they were popular. Kind of interesting to me, but I think they didn't really have the full support system that a lot of the American '90s bands had as far as production values. Yeah, a very laid back, carefree, disconnected from reality music video, Wonderwall, and
Yeah,
really all of them.
yeah, yeah. Like no one's actually excited. Everyone's just singing, and Noel has a megaphone at some point, but no one's like it doesn't seem like anyone's interested in being in this video or doing this song, which is interesting because Wonderwall also is kind of a hodgepodgey song as it is too.
Yeah, static and basic is how I would describe this video.
Yeah, so well, I'll give some interesting facts about this because this is one of the many videos directed by British director Nigel Dick. He's famous because he's not only done a ton of Oasis videos, but he's done a lot of other videos. I think the most famous one is Britney Spears' "Baby One More Time." You'll remember he did "Oops, I Did It Again," Guns N' Roses' "Sweet Child." He's done a lot. He's I think according to his website, he's done over 400 music videos. So and what's interesting is in my research, actually, I found a website, and I'm going to just take it as like hopefully true. But he did an interview with someone talking about the Wonderwall video, and some of the things he said, it was very low production. They had to film this video out in the like outer burbs of London because it was on a budget. Everything was kind of like thrown together. One of the keynotes during this interview that Nigel said is like he got the notes from the studio, and he said, this is a quote from Nigel, that Noel says he wants it to be in black and white with bits of color in it. And then he said the label added a helpful hint and said, for God's sakes, don't ask them to act or they'll walk off the set. Try to find something fun for them to do. So you can definitely see in this in the video, and you can kind of know that Oasis is already kind of be a little bit of a problem. But that's what he said. He said, "You know what? I tried to look at different elements. I pulled a lot of random pieces together. There's a showgirl in there because there's a showgirl in the Beatles' Help video, and since Oasis wanted to be the next Beatles, and there were so much references, including their music and all their visual styles, that they were going to be the Beatles. They have this kind of haircut. There's different styles, so he really threw that in. He threw in like some random saws swinging. He put some clowns in there. One of his notes is, they threw the clowns in there because they needed another element. He said, again, I'm just throwing this together. I was on a low budget and we just did whatever we needed to do. Interestingly enough, there were two clowns on set and they got in a fight because they thought they were the only clown booked for the set. So even behind the scenes, things were falling apart.
Were their names Noel and Liam?
Well, it's funny actually because he did mention later that during that recording, Noel and Liam were fighting also. And so he said it was such a mess, that it's glad that he got it together. Post production, he said it was fine because he just threw it all together and tried to make it work. But yeah, I just for such a big song, it was such a yeah. I don't want to say lame video, but there was just not much to it.
You would expect more from a song with this much gravity at the time. Kind of going back to Nigel Dick real quick. I've always known him. I know his name from especially the Britney Spears music videos and so many others. You mentioned it earlier. He also did Guns N' Roses. This guy just can't get away from singers and guitar players that hate each other. Maybe he's the common denominator. He's
That's true.
planting the
That's true.
seeds. But as a whole, Oasis's music videos, I understand why we're looking at them right now because of their reunion. They don't have these incredible music videos, and I'm like, wow, it's weird that Nigel Dick did these, and that makes a little bit more sense now that you get a little more background on it and what the brothers wanted. Then it's just so funny to think later, a few years later, he would revolutionize the music video world with like "Oops, I Did It Again" and these high budget videos that take it over the top. And yeah, just a very interesting history of Nigel Dick there.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the guy likes to work. And I think I found this interesting too in some of my notes is that apparently Baby One More Time and Wonderwall were both voted high on like most iconic music videos of all time. And I don't remember where. I could see, of course, Baby One More Time. Wonderwall is very a big mystery. But you know what? As we've learned, don't doubt the fandom of Oasis. And
Right.
they he's big. They're big.
Mhm.
They do a lot of stuff. So any other thoughts on Wonderwall?
It's interesting to me that he put the showgirl in there because of the Beatles. In every music video on my notes, I wrote a general Beatle vibe, especially the hair and sunglasses. It's like, I guess they really wanted to be the Beatles. That's, I mean, who wouldn't, right? But man, yeah, they
Yeah, they
really
were on a
leaned into
mission.
it.
Yeah, and if you want to learn more about Oasis, you can also dive deeper. There's that whole battle of Britpop that happened during the '90s with the tabloids, and they were really pitting Blur against Oasis at the time as two different kind of British pop styles and stuff like that. Obviously, Oasis came out on top of that, but
Yeah. That doesn't
yeah,
really
I
sound
think
fair to Blur.
no, no. But it's funny at the time Blur was the bigger band because they had more music out, and so it was
Mhm.
really kind of the underdogs. But you mentioned you mimic the Beatles, you try to be kind of Beatles style, and everyone
Yep,
loves the Beatles, so you're gonna get there.
absolutely. Yeah. You want to move to the next video?
Yeah. So don't look back in anger. This video, I'll say I did like it. Compared to watching Wonderwall first and then going back to watching this, it's still a little bit all over the place, but essentially it's the band are riding in a little car to a fancy house, like a mansion, and they get there and then there's all these women in all white outfits and they like sing the tagline, they mime "Don't look back in anger," and it's just like a mix of that. Again, it's a hodgepodge of things with just them in this mansion and singing. Again, they don't seem excited, they don't seem like they're having fun, but they're just seeming to do quirky things. I did like the drum set in the pool. I thought that was a cool visual element. Again, they're leaning in on these colors like the blue, the yellow, the red, the green that seem to be a recurring theme in their videos. But it was definitely a refreshing change from Wonderwall.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned the drum set. It seems they have a theme of water in their music videos. A lot of, I mean, almost all of them have, yeah, the drum set in water. There's a rainy window effect.
Mhm.
I put a note that they had like dreamlike imagery, and it's kind of because of that like dreary water effect. That almost felt like it's from the '70s. Like whenever you see a movie set in the '70s and somebody's on drugs, they start getting that little Jimi Hendrixy like wave effect. And I get that almost in all their videos. It's a very common theme.
Yeah, well, it's that
Uh,
Beatles theme again, right? That late Beatles, trippy, kind of Sergeant Peppery style music that, they just really wanted to lean in on those visuals.
I'm not as familiar with the Beatles as I know you. I know you're a big fan, so I know them vaguely. I know it's so crazy to say, but I oddly enough I know Oasis better than the Beatles. So I did not get this the first time I watched it, and then I watched it again. There's a big white coffin that they've got at one point, and they're in that car as you said. They're going to like this mansion, and I'm not sure if this is what they were going for, but what I took out of it is they're driving to that big house in the sky. It's kind of a death analogy because there's like an old man standing outside of the mansion at one point, or a few points they keep showing him,
Mhm.
and then there's the line of women all in white. I was like, I don't know if these are supposed to be angels, and that's kind of the imagery I got from it. But then, like you said, they don't seem happy or just all of Oasis. They're like, there's no expression. It's like, what would you call it?
Yeah,
Yeah, this like
no
just
emotion.
void.
What's going on in Britain in the '90s? I don't know. Maybe people can tell us
Yeah.
because yeah, why is no one happy? I mean, Even when we had Nirvana around, we still had some fun loving music in the 90s here in the States. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know why everything's so bleh.
Yeah, but bringing up Nirvana, yeah, like "Smells Like Teen Spirit," that same kind of like emotionless face that he sings with. That's what you get with everybody in every Oasis video.
Yeah, yeah, no one's happy to be there.
Yeah. Something's happening on set that's making everybody upset. I think we
They
know what
probably
it
just
is.
got into another fight, yeah, and they have to record, or their silly glasses, or their mop tops, or who knows.
But I agree
So,
with you. Definitely like this video more than Wonderwall as a video itself. I do like the song Wonderwall better, but
yes.
as from the visuals of the video, yeah, Don't Look Back in
Yeah,
Anger is
yeah.
the
I mean, there's a reason why
great video.
Wonderwall's like their top song.
Yeah.
But I will mention, you mentioned that the old guy, and a little facts, about this one is so. First of all, this is another Nigel Dick production. I don't have any notes about the production of this, but this one seems to go a lot better and a lot smoother, and not like just throw a bunch of garbage together and see what sticks. But the actor in there, the old man, is Patrick McNee, which apparently he played John Steed in the 1960s television series The Avengers, a British
Oh,
series. Yeah,
wow.
and apparently that TV show was a favorite of Oasis. So I don't know if they asked him to be in it or how that came about. I'm sure he was happy. But yeah, that's a cool little reference that again, I've never seen the old series, but having them kind of pull in some cameos.
Yeah, neat.
Another thing is, so I just assume because it's a British band that it was filmed in the UK. No, this was actually filmed in Pasadena, California, at a mansion. And what's interesting too is one of the women in the video, Liz Carey, actually ended up marrying Alan White, the drummer from. And so, little tidbit there. I don't think they're married anymore. Liz Carey's done a lot of other little things. She has a podcast. She has done like different movies as extra work. So she's actually still active in kind of the Hollywood scene. Besides that, yeah, I mean, again, like this better. We're getting a little bit better. Spoiler alert: we're going to get worse later on, but this is definitely one of the better videos from the band. And again, like you said,
And
it kind of beats that vibe.
yeah, some of these later videos from this album that we're going to get to actually came first chronologically. And so then Wonderwall was their fourth video, clearly a massive hit worldwide. So I could see why the studio was a little bit more amenable to putting money and production efforts behind this one.
Yes, exactly. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I liked about the video, but no, it's fun. It's easy.
Yeah.
Okay, next video, which is the longest one on the list at like
Oh
over
my god,
7
right?
minutes. Yeah, this one
Yeah.
This one I was surprised, and I was like, I the music ended, and I was like, "How much do we have left?" Or the lyrics ended, I should say. And oh, we still had
Mhm.
like a couple 2 minutes or something. I was like, "All right, well, we're in for the long haul." But this is also a long song, so I guess that makes sense. But this is Champagne Supernova.
Well, yeah, you mentioned that when this video came out, I know it was all over MTV, and I was like, "There's no way that they played a 7-minute video every time." Like they must have had a truncated version. But now that I'm starting to like think about it and remember, I do kind of recollect that I'm like watching MTV and thinking, when is this song over? Yeah, you're right. The lyrics are gone and it's just like dreary,
Running you
rainy,
minute. Yep.
yeah, um, confusion. It's just a dreary, rainy confusion is what Oasis is,
Yeah.
and that's how we just go on for another like 2 minutes. I was like, I
Yeah.
do kind of from my childhood remember I, was this childhood? Teenage years.
Yeah.
I remember, huh, this is just not going to end, is it? So, yeah. So I didn't think this one really had a plot. Like,
Hmm.
really only Don't Look Back in Anger has a plot of all their videos from this album, in my experience, in my opinion. But they, again, water. We even start with what sounds like an ocean maybe at the beginning of the song, but yeah, that same 70s kind of strung out
Yeah.
wavy look.
Psychedelic. Yeah.
Psychedelic, yes. I wrote down kaleidoscope effect. But the whole video has this existential confusion about it, and I guess champagne supernova, right? You're if you're taking it very literally. I could see how
Yes.
you're, yeah, just laying on the ground thinking I shouldn't have had that much champagne. Again, faded, blurry cinematography that felt like it was more of a signature of either the 70s or the very early 90s that directors just seemed to love at that point. And I get it. If you look at where we went from Champagne Supernova to 10 years later, all the evolution of camera, cinematography to editing, we went to digital film, makes it a lot easier to edit these kind of things. And, the cultural changes between that 10 years where, you get the Matrix in there and film production as a whole takes a giant leap forward. So I understand it, but yeah, it's not. I don't see this one winning video of the year.
No,
they
no, that's
still
fair.
seem they still seem dated for their time.
Yeah, yeah, and this one, I think, the other 2 videos, you probably couldn't peg a time period just yet. This one, I think the dancers in the video have the very 90s style.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're wearing 90s outfits, and you watch this and you're like, "Okay, this has to be the 90s." It's not doesn't have that 80s look, doesn't definitely have the 2000s look. It's like it's a very, like, distinct we're in the 90s period.
Yeah, I will say for this one, it's the one I remember the most from when Oasis was big. I think it's a
7-minute music
combination of
video.
it. Well, yeah, it's a 7-minute music video. It also helped that it was like the last video of this album, so they'd already built up enough steam where everybody knew Oasis. MTV's playing it all the time because they were such a big band. But when I think Oasis music video, this is the one I think of. And I think it's because it has that like not spiral, spotted visual. I don't know how to better describe that. Like a big spotlight visual on, is it Liam or is it Noel?
Yeah.
One of those guys. Yeah, that's for some reason this one always just stands out in my mind.
Yeah, yeah. Well, one thing I did like also, maybe you can tell me what this is, but one of them's playing a little red keyboard kazoo.
Hmm.
Do you know what instrument that is? Is that just a mini keyboard? I mean, I've never seen something like that, or is that just a toy for the video?
No, that is an actual instrument. That is, the name is escaping me right now. I will find it.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I was just like, this is kind of cool. Like, it's fun, and I think even at the very end, there's like a little tiny baby piano in the on the ground next to one of them. And again, I don't know if that meant anything or if that was just like, oh, we want to add some fun tiny instruments into this video.
No, so that's the actual thing they were playing there. It is called a melodica,
Okay.
handheld free reed instrument similar to a pump organ or a harmonica, kind of a combination of those two. I've found that they're very popular in Europe with the street musicians, the buskers.
Okay.
Yeah, it's because it's small, easy, and it's basically like a little mini piano that you can carry around. But it's got that cool kind of like harmonica of sound because of
Yeah.
the way you blow into it. Yeah, but that's what you're actually hearing in the song as well.
Oh, cool. Okay. Yeah. So that was fun. This one also seems, and I can't remember the timeline, but I feel like they're also doing their like late Beatles phase where they all have beards, or at least Liam has a beard, and you're like, ah, he's so much older looking now. A
Even though it's
visual.
like later that year of the other ones.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So I thought that was interesting because yeah, if this is the only video, you think they're all going to be, kind of Beatles beard types, but they're still I mean, I assume they still shave today, so that was probably just for the video. Yeah, yeah. Any other thoughts on this one?
No, that was pretty much everything I had for it. It's another Nigel Dick one, right?
Yep. Yep. This
Yep.
one's just keeping up the jam. And speaking of the jam, and I don't know if he was in the video, but Paul Weller of the Jam, which don't ask me any more questions about him because I don't know exactly. He's known as the Mod Father. He's big in British history, and I think he influenced a lot of bands throughout the latter half of the 20th century in Britain. But he does background vocals and guitars to the song, so that's kind of fun. Again, people probably know more about Paul Weller. I don't know. Rob, do you know anything about this guy?
I don't, but I did look him up, and he's rocking that mop top.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, he's living the dream. So that's kind of a nice little addition to the video.
He
Uh,
looks like he could be a brother of Liam and Noel. Crazy,
British people, they all either look like Bush or Oasis,
yeah. Yes.
and sometimes Prodigy. Okay, well, so the next one we have is Morning Glory. This one again has a little more of a storyline, not much, but it's the band's in apartment and they're playing their music, I guess, and then they just people are knocking on the door and pounding on the door, and either they're complaining or they're doing something else, but they're just playing their music in their apartment. And again, we got the same colors of like that blue and yellow and red and green. Yeah, not
Those are
much to it.
those are those are all
So,
colors.
those are all colors. Yeah, those are all colors they love putting in their videos for some reason.
Every color of the rainbow.
Yeah, yeah.
I was gonna say this one stood out from all the other videos, and it is a different director. This is Jake Scott, who I was not familiar with his name until I looked him up. He did Disarm by Smashing Pumpkins, Lightning Crashes by Live, Come Down by Bush, and New by No Doubt. And that's the one I was like, this connection. I see it. Like I know you mentioned they used colors in the video, but there's like a grungy, I don't know, embellishment of colors
Mhm.
where it's like oversaturated. That's perfect. Yes. And the same thing in the No Doubt New video. Like I felt like he had the same kind of vision for what he was trying to do with colors there. I think this production wise was the best video, just because it felt more 90s.
Mhm.
If that's, I know they've got their whole thing, like their vibe with all the other ones, but not storyline wise, but production wise, I think this was my favorite. Just yeah, much closer to like the '90s rock videos of the time, grungy apartment, all the coloring, and more rapid editing. The other one's like either a lot of fades or long shots, whereas this one's like boom, 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 which was what we got with Nirvana, Garbage, Smashing Pumpkins, all those kind of bands. I shouldn't
Yeah,
have said Smashing Pumpkins, but yeah. Foo
we'll
Fighters,
edit
yeah.
that out. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like your point, and I think you're right. So for me, it did feel like a '90s video. It felt less Beatles referenced
Mhm.
than any of the others, and it also the song is different. It feels like the most, yeah, kind of rocky song out of the videos we've seen of Champagne Supernova, Don't Look Back in Anger, Wonderwall. Yeah, it's really kind of '90s in a good way, and they actually seem like they're having a little more fun than they usually do in all their
They
videos.
do. Yeah, I picked up on that. Like making like some silly faces at some point. I was like, oh wow, like I didn't expect that from them. Because again, just static faces without emotion typically. But this one, like I think it was the drummer doing these like goofy faces a lot. But then some of the other ones, here and there. Yeah,
Yeah,
I liked it.
it's good to see them have fun.
I'm assuming the people were complaining from the noise, like, 'cause you see the band in the apartment, and then people are walking by the apartment door and either like banging on the door or listening in. So I'm assuming they're playing in there, and then people are, you know,
Yeah, they're
hey, it's too
yelling at them.
loud. Yeah,
Yeah.
or oh, what's going on in there? Curiosity. That's the impression I got of it. Yeah.
And it's funny. I tried to find out, and I think at one point in my research, there was a famous cameo in the guests, but then I lost my notes. So there might be one of these tenants that come and bang on the door might be a reference or might be an actor from something else. If anyone knows,
Oh
let,
yeah.
let us know because I couldn't find my research on this. But I will add, you mentioned Jake Scott. He's also famous for another reason.
Oh, what's that?
Well, he's the son of Ridley Scott.
Wow, really? How
Yeah,
fun.
so when you said the name sounded familiar, I was like, "Oh, is he gonna do the Ridley Scott reference?" But you didn't, and you skipped right over it. I was
Yeah.
like, "Oh, well, now I have to mention it."
Yeah, I had no idea. That's crazy.
So again, he's mostly done music videos and commercials, but yeah, son of Ridley Scott. Small world. Probably why you got the job too, right?
Maybe, yeah, I guess, yeah, probably. It's a what do you call it?
Nepotism,
Nepotism
yeah, yeah, probably a nepo
industry.
baby
Yeah,
situation. But yeah, I think this video definitely benefits, even though they use Nigel Dick for a lot of their videos. But it benefits from not having Nigel Dick because I don't know Scott's career at this moment, and if he was like more comfortable and just kind of pushing things or just editing the way he wants to. but as much as they used Nigel Dick, and Nigel Dick does great work on other things, it was kind of a relief not to have Nigel Dick do this one and like switch it up.
Yeah. Well, this one comes before all the Nigel Dick ones. So yeah, he did Wonderwall, Don't Look Back in Anger, and Champagne Supernova. So we got some pre-Dick, pre Nigel
Free Dick
Dick.
material. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that makes sense. Again, just to repeat, I like this video. This was fun. It definitely felt like something you would see on rotation on MTV, and you wouldn't be. It just fit right in with kind of the other '90s rock music that was playing.
You know, I wonder, did he do "Hitchin' a Ride" by Green Day? Because it also that has that same coloring, and I know any director could do it, but I'm going to look that up while we move on to the next one.
Yeah, yeah. Let me know.
Oh, he didn't. No.
Uh, Probably someone
Disappointing.
stole his idea though. Hopping next to our list, and I'm going to officially call these the dregs because I think we are hitting the dregs. But roll with it.
This is a concert footage video. This is the lowest concept for a music video. They did basically just took a lot of concert footage they had and smashed it together to put something out there to promote the band. They're terrible. All of them are terrible. There's no good concert footage video. Unless you're actually looking for the live video, like a live concert video, then it's not a music video anymore. So I did not like this video.
Yeah, I agree. Not much needs to be said about this.
I watched this one once. I was like, I don't need to watch that again.
It is exactly. That's fair. No, this one is. Yeah, you do have to roll with it, I guess, because this one is you're not intentionally watching this video,
Yeah,
and I don't even imagine it played a lot on MTV. Maybe after all the other songs got big, and they just needed to fill their time with like an Oasis hour. But
I doubt even then.
yeah, yeah, it was just it's rough. Nothing much to be said here. So yeah, we'll move on from that one.
Yes.
Not that we're getting much better, but now we have some might say. You want to give your thoughts on this one?
So another concert footage video, but it's interspliced with other things, some behind the scenes videos of the band. Mixed in that is another like icon of 90s music videos. It's like this art house experimentation style where the director's like, "Oh, let me just go like take random footage of cows or power lines or cars and I like do a bunch of weird editing effects on top of that and then mix that in over top videos of the band." You see it a lot in the 90s. Mostly I think they're looking for filler for one, but then it just gives them a chance to try some stuff out that they really wouldn't have an opportunity to do otherwise because it's yeah, it's like your student film.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you mentioned that because it actually so it's more interesting than roll with it because you just get more
Mhm.
visuals and get different things. This was their first single or first number one on the UK charts. I can't remember exactly what. It's black and white, and what I read on during my research, and this does track, but the promo video for this song, this video was canceled because Liam didn't show up to the shoot, and so they created a makeshift video using footage from Cigarettes and Alcohol, which is another Oasis thing, U.S. Supersonic and UK Whatever videos.
Yeah, well there
In
you
the
go.
video, yeah, yeah, and apparently in the video, what they have is also they might have had kind of fill-ins. We just need to release something visually, and I think this was more of a problem back in like the '80s when music videos were new and coming out, and people just needed to throw a bunch of stuff just so they can have video accompanying their song. But yeah, it's very interesting to see this happen in an Oasis song.
Well, I get it. You know, you're early in your career. The studio or your record label doesn't want to put a lot of money into it until they see that you're a proven product. So I get it. You know, hey, let's just get something out there so that these video channels can promote it and we have something to put on, you know, TV whenever you go somewhere. I get it. I think every band gets like one. You get one like, all right, you don't have the money, just throw this together so you have something. It's simple, but it gets your audio track out there.
Yeah, no, well, that's very nice of you to say, and yeah, I guess I could be a little more forgiving.
I mean, no, two's too much. So,
That's
especially
true.
back to back.
Well, the question is, Would you rather get two of these types of videos, or would you rather have one concert footage and one of these videos?
Two of these videos.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, I agree. Yeah,
I
concert.
never want the concert footage video. Unless you do something like incredibly epic at the concert, then no, I don't want that.
That's true. Yeah, yeah,
Pink has some like Cirque du Soleil kind of stuff going on in her concerts. Like she's like twirling around on high wires and stuff like that. It's like, all right, that one, yeah. Or somebody like Baby Metal with like, all the dancing and the fire and stuff like
yeah.
that. But again, even there, like you're either doing a video of one specific show, which is really not a music video anymore, or you're doing this collaborative like junk of concert footage. So yeah, they're different.
No, I agree. I think, as we said, I think the concert footage or a band playing music video is probably your lowest effort.
Hmm.
And there's some editing involved, but still, it's pretty low effort for creating a music video.
Yep, yep.
Awesome. Well, so I think you started kind of mentioning your rankings, but I'd like to see where you would put these.
Well, let's see. I didn't like formally rank them, but I could probably
Hmm.
do that real quick. Roll with it. Obviously, the worst.
We
Some
can
might
start from
say
the
the
bottom.
second
Yeah.
worst.
Yes.
Yeah, some
Yeah,
might
I think
say
that's fair.
the second worst. So then that puts us in the actual music videos.
Yeah.
I would say Wonderwall is probably fourth, which is crazy because it feels like that's their
That's their
biggest
icon. Yeah.
audio song. Yeah. I would put, oh man, even though it was the one entrenched in my memory, I think I would put Champagne Supernova as number three.
Makes sense.
And I would say Don't Look Back in Anger, number two, Morning Glory, number one. I really like that, the coloring and the quick edits of Morning Glory. Even though Don't Look Back in Anger, I think, has like a more meaning behind the plot of the video.
Hmm.
The visuals of Morning Glory make it number one for me. How about you?
Yeah, that's great. Actually, it's so funny. I knew we were going to match until the very end. So I have the last two flipped. So I have
Hmm.
Don't Look Back in Anger as my favorite, then Morning Glory, Champagne, Wonderwall. Some might say and roll with it. And I think for the reason you said, it felt like there was like more story and Don't Look Back in Anger.
Yeah.
And I kind of like, even though it was just a whatever visual of having the drum set in the water on the table, just like some fun moments to it that put it at top. But you're right. I mean, they're pretty close competition, I think.
Yeah. 1A, 1B.
Exactly, exactly. I guess overall, final thoughts on this album's music videos. Is this something?
I,
Would you recommend people search these out, watch any of them
I
overall, or
I recommend you don't watch Roll with it. I mean, iconic band. How can you like forego not seeing some of these videos? Really, the top four, even though Wonderwall, wasn't as great as the other
Hmm,
three, you still get to listen to Wonderwall.
that's true.
I would never have called myself a huge Oasis fan. However, I do have a greater appreciation for them after kind of going through this exercise.
Hmm.
Their songs are a little slower than my typical taste,
Hmm.
and I understand why people like them. It's just not my particular cup of British tea. However, I do like that we did this, and I'm excited for them to have a reunion. I'm excited to see what happens. We get Jane's Addiction Part Two. uh, it's going to be interesting to see where the band goes from here. We've got several bands reuniting this year. I've not kept up with Oasis since like the album after this one, but I'm gonna
Yeah,
check them out after this because I do kind of love where '90s bands went after the '90s because some of them
yeah,
went in bizarre directions, and I love those. Like they took the fame and the following that they got from this album in 1997 and either took it to like they started playing heavy metal or they started playing this like experimental electronic music, totally different from what they had started as, but it's very
yeah,
fun. And yeah, they leveraged that fame into a new brand of art for themselves. They didn't kind of chase that what was popular. So I don't know if what Oasis did after their third album there or whatever was after this album, but I'm going to check them out after this.
yeah. Well, I will say, and I know a lot of people like kind of the band drama. I read a lot about them. I couldn't really get into it, even the fights, and they're both jerks. Like, but feel free to read into it because there's periods where Noel quits for a few years, then Liam quits for a few years, then Liam actually started another band when Noel quit back in the 2000s and like the early 2010s.
With the
I don't
Flying
even
Circus or something like that.
no, no, that's Noel's own band. So
No.
Noel had a band. So Liam actually started a band without Noel, and then that band disbanded after a few years. It's yeah. Do some research. It's interesting to see because Noel, when he had his other band, he would play Oasis songs, and he was the writer. So I don't know how much leeway Liam had in playing a bunch of Oasis songs without Noel because of that. Now, it depends on like how, venue rules. If you're going to cover your own song, does, your ASCAP rules cover that for your venue? Like, can you do a cover of your own song and not get in trouble? I don't know. But yeah, you can read about their history and there's a lot of contention, a lot of fighting, and a lot of, moments. Even Liam at one point, I think in 2010, says he would eat shit before he gets back with Noel to do Oasis. Here we are.
Right.
So, if you're interested in that kind of drama of like just very petty rock stars saying stupid stuff and getting in fights, then yeah, look them up. And yeah, let me know how their music is because it'll be interesting to see how they've kind of grown from the 90s.
So when they come out on stage the first show, is he going to do it?
No, probably not, right? These people are like, but
It doesn't
it
seem
would
like
be
that.
interesting. Yeah. Do we want to wrap it up? I think I do like Oasis. I would listen to this. I don't know if I would recommend any of these videos. I mean, yeah, you can watch Wonderwall to hear it, but you just listen to it on Spotify or what other streaming tool you use. So none of these videos seemed enough to me to have people to recommend to people log on. That being said, I didn't feel like besides roll with it, I lost anything from watching it.
I have a five word phrase that I came up with to describe Oasis and all their videos: drifting through the chaos unaffected.
Nice, I like that.
Like all their videos, just that bland look on their face and chaotic band, but you'd never know it from the videos other than just the news that we heard outside of that. So,
Yeah, yeah. Thanks for listening to this episode of Rewind and React. Tune in and we'll be covering more of your favorite videos.
yeah. Anyway, here's Wonderwall.